Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I am so excited to have on a 37-year-old from Waterloo, Ontario, a third-round draft pick of the New Jersey Devils. His hockey journey took him to Canada, the USA, Switzerland, Germany, and Russia, where he played 1 year for one of the pod's favorite teams, Vityaz Chekhov. And he became a fan favorite in the Swiss A League, where he played 27 years for Ice Hockey Club Biel Bien. And he was a Spengler Cup winner and All-Star, and one season had 41 tours for the Nuremberg Ice Tigers. But why he's a household name is he was part of the dynasty that was the KW Roller Rats. Welcome to the pod, Ahren Spylo. How are you today?
Oh man, what an introduction. I'm glad we have that on tape. That is incredible.
I work on that all day. That's my bread and butter there.
That's your bread and butter. Yeah.
I like that part of the show.
Impressive.
So the next part is how we know each other. And one of those things is we played on the KW Roller Rats together, which why don't you explain what that was?
Where to begin? I don't even, I thought that we did too. And when you texted me and confirmed that, I was, it feels like another league, another time. It's crazy. Yeah. That was the year before. It's funny how things come full circle, but the year before I met a guy through a mutual friend, and he said that he remembered me from roller hockey, but the year before the River Rats started, or the Roller Rats, I guess I ended up playing for the River Rats, but the Roller Rats started the year before. My dad started or coached me in a roller hockey. I don't know whatever the level was before, like, that roller league started, whatever that lower one was. He coached me in it, and we ended up winning whatever that was. And I think that was the first time I ever won something. I don't know how old I was, 12 or whatever it was, 14, I don't know. And then I was begging him to start it. It's remember the mission roller wheel? I wanted those things so bad. We drove down to Atlanta in a van, my brother and I. So I could talk about that that's crazy to even bring that up.
Did you guys not start the franchise? Like, it was a junior team, right? And it was
exactly.
Full league.
We tried to do like an OHL roller hockey league, pretty much. Try to make it as professional as possible. I mean, the whole scene about roller hockey was huge at that time. I heard people that were, I don't know, Venice or were somewhere in California were getting paid huge money, and there was fans out there. And then when we went on, I don't know if you remember what the feeling was when we went on Sport Court for the first time. It was crazy. And the different wheel setups, like there's a rumor that somebody came to a camp with like the actual outdoor setup, or like the quads, I heard, or something. But man, it was actually became really professional, and I made a lot of great contacts with that. And my dad was, I think that was one of his, I think he secretly always wanted to be a coach. He was always, giving it to me and my older brother about how to do this and do that. So I think he fulfilled that, and we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, it was, I think I played 1 year, and it was like the games were on weekends in the summer, and I was like, I just want to do other stuff at this age. But it was a fun year. So then the other part, when we first would have met, would have been Minor Adam AAA in Waterloo, right?
Yeah.
We would have played Minor Adam together, AAA. And then I guess that's my next question is, at that point, your name was Ahren Nittel. And there was a point in your career where you switched to Spylo. And was that to get a German passport? Was that not, am I not wrong there?
So I guess, as a kid, you don't really know any different. I just, even my first name is spelled a little differently. And, I think it kind of just goes with my family. I don't know. My mom was super close with her family. My dad, he had a real big extended family too. And, with kind of the history about how people immigrated to Canada from Europe and all these, these wild stories, whatever. I guess my mom was kind of putting in her claim for why her two boys should be under her last name and my dad's last name, which is Spylo. My dad is he's always compromising, I think, with my mom, so I think he just he got two boys, so he couldn't have been happier, and my mom got to keep the name. So I didn't really know any different, to be honest, until I think, my brother, he had to apply for he went over to Europe to play hockey first before me. And at that time he said, hey, listen, the NHL is on strike. We don't know what's going to happen. And end up, I kind of played through kind of two strikes. So it's funny how that worked out. But so when we had to apply with our birth certificate name, which is Ahren Spylo. And at that time, I remember getting over there and them giving me the German passport. And I was like, oh man, like this is so weird, because I played my entire career under Nittel. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if people are gonna, what are they gonna say or whatever. And people love the name for, I'm not, in Europe, I think they love saying it. It sounds so much different over there. And when I heard people like chanting my name or like anything positive, I was always kind of pumped up. And that's how it happened. Yeah, it's yeah.
No, that's an interesting story. I was always curious because like I always thought of you as Ahren Nittel, and then like when I'm looking you up today, when my research team's hard at work, I'm putting in a different name, so it's just an interesting.
It's funny. I don't even think about that. It's actually, that's right. When I played in North America, it was always a different name. Yeah, that's right.
And the last thing about how we know each other, that one thing was you've actually came to my grandma's farm and gone fishing with me, right? You remember?
Oh man, wow. You know what, I vaguely remember that. I'm gonna say I do, but that's incredible. It's like coming back to me, it's like that's crazy.
So anyways, I think we went up there and like when we were at minor Adam or major Adam when we played together. And would you remember that we fought in junior B? You were playing for the Guelph Dominators, and I was an Elmira Sugar King, and we dropped the mitts. And I'm pretty sure I stuck my finger in your nose so hard, like to try and make you bleed. But we just fell down. That was about it.
Man, I don't remember that, to be honest with you. You saying that kind of, I'm surprised to even hear that. I remember you being the first thing I remember you being is you were talented. You had a really nice, like a soft touch. And a playmaker, I remember that, and a strong on your skates. And the other part I do remember, you were kind of, I think you, because we were teammates for a long time, but I do remember you being kind of like chippy, and you had an edge to you. I think you grew into your edge.
Yeah, just competitive, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, you were always competitive, that's for sure, yeah.
Well, and you, one thing is, like when we were younger, you were, kind of like a short, chubby kid. And
is that not? That's right.
And then there was a time, man, like I hadn't seen you junior B. Then you kind of were like a string bean when I fought you. You were really tall, but like not thick. Then I saw you at Conestoga College at a skate. That where like random people can show up and you scrimmage. You were there and I was there. That was like, I bet you the last time I've seen you, which it's got to be about 20 something or 18
I was thinking
years
the
ago.
same thing. Yeah.
But you were way bigger than I had ever seen. Like you were way bigger than any person I'd ever seen at that point. Like you were so much, and you used to be a short, chubby kid, and then you got tall, and then you filled out, eh?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was always short. My brother was always taller, and that lasted for a long time. And I remember in grade 9, I was like small, really short, and then it's actually funny, we're going to talk about roller hockey again, but I broke my ankle really badly in roller hockey, and it was like a few days before the draft. I think it was like a week before the draft, the OHL draft, and I just shattered it, and that was it. I never played roller hockey again. And I was in a cast for a long time. They had to do like 2 surgeries on it, and they had to take out the hardware at another point, and it affected me for a long time. But when I couldn't walk, I was laid up. And I remember I was very like, I was kind of, you know, probably 5'10", something like that. And when I got out of it, I was like 6'2". And I remember I got drafted to Windsor, and I went down there, and they didn't, I think they drafted kind of a smaller diminutive player. And I showed up and I was 6'2". I ended up, you know, I'm 6'4" now, but yeah, I was still growing at that time. And I remember I was always hungry. I worked out a lot when I had my cast on. Like, I just did like anything I could. It was, yeah, I just worked out a lot. And, but I think I was, you know, I was still growing. I don't think I really reached my peak for a lot longer than that. And I think I just grew too fast. And I think that kind of maybe might have played, and I injured too, you know, early on. And I think that kind of affected me a little bit.
So I guess one of the questions I'm wondering is if growing that fast around, I think you were probably about 15, 16 years old, growing that fast, was there any seasons where you like felt like you weren't as coordinated?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. My first year, and I had a lot of like, back, you know, when you had like, I had a lot of psoas, which I didn't even understand, and a lot of hip flexor stuff. And I just didn't even understand that. And they skated me a lot. Like, we had a really old school coach in Windsor. And I remember I was up, they made me get up super early. They always said I was too fat. And you know, which was probably true. Like, I was, you know, you know, where I was just eating whatever I could get. I was always starving. And you know, the diet wasn't great. I think I was eating a lot of Subway. I was getting it for free, you know, from this friend of mine from school. And you know, so yeah, it was hard. Like, I was skating a lot, trying to get into shape. And I think my certain muscles hadn't really developed the way they should have, because I think I was laid up too much from the broken ankle.
Okay. Well, anyways, usually what I do is go like through your minor hockey to, I guess, the OHL, which we've kind of done. But I just had a random memory come back because of you talking about your old man
Yeah.
and how we know each other and how this history is so rich, considering we haven't seen each other in so long. Is that
Yeah.
our old men went to Quebec together and ate a crepe, and they came up with an idea that they were going to bring a crepe restaurant to Waterloo. Do you remember that?
This is like, the flashbacks here. I was thinking about your grandmother's farm there. Were there supposed to be wolves there?
I no, but well, we probably told you that, but that was just to scare you.
I think your
But
dad had like a cricket bat or something with him. Is that the same?
maybe, but I totally remember they were gonna open a creperie in Waterloo because they went to Quebec for like a guys. I would have been when we were playing in Adam together. They went to
That's
Quebec
crazy.
for
Yeah.
something, and then they decided they were open a creperie.
You know what? After this, I'm gonna speak to my dad and tell him that I actually spoke to my brother earlier and his wife, and I said, telling them all about it. So they're super excited to hear the whole story or whatever. I think they're going to listen as soon as possible. But when I tell my mom and dad, they're going to freak out. They're definitely going to freak out. And you know what? It's a great opportunity because my dad has a very good memory. He remembers, oh man. And it's like, he just, that's his thing, is you'll sit around the table with him now and he'll just try to impress you with his memory. You're like, what are you talking? You know, he'll just bring up stuff. So if he remembers that, I don't even remember that, but that sounds like my dad. And I could picture you and my dad, two peas in a pod. Your parents are very similar to my parents in the sense that they did everything for their son there for hockey, and they drove everywhere. And my parents lived in a van for you know, I don't know how long, just to see my brother play and stuff. So two peas in a pod. I could imagine my dad loving crepes, you know.
Okay. Moving on is actually you should tell your brother at some point here. I'm getting quite the lineup of people, but at some point we'll have to have your brother on, because I had heard a story of something he did over in Germany, because I went to Germany, right? And
Yeah.
I just like to hear it from the horse's mouth, like what he did, you know. I heard something about punching a ref or something, but who knows? Maybe that's, you know, is that his?
Yeah, my brother's got, you know, so many stories you can imagine, and he was his nickname in Europe was Wild Thing, and I think he like lived up to it. But you know, at the end of the day, my brother is like one of the most loving, kind of caring guys. He had a blast playing hockey. He lived it up. You know, he really did. He just couldn't help himself. That's just the type of personality is. That's why he's doing so well today. He's the he's the biggest people person. You know, I see him a lot too. We work together, and you know, he's just one of those characters, and he'd love to hear from you again. And he freaked out when I told him the whole story. He was loving it, and I think he had some story about it too. So you know, in some connection, I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
That'd be
no,
awesome.
I actually remember him like from being on the Roller Rats, and we go out for wings after a game, and just like he was so full of life and having so much fun all the time, like after a game. But hey,
Exactly. Yeah.
moving on, actually, I almost forgot one of my segments is where are you and what are you doing now?
Well, I'm in Waterloo, Ontario, and I'm a real estate broker now, believe it or not. And yeah, kind of came back full circle, really. Grew up in Waterloo, left for a while, and always tried to come back. You know, some years were less than others, and then my dad was a real estate broker when he was growing up. He played football, got out of college, got a degree at Wilfrid Laurier. Has a lot of history here. We work actually even to this day. We do a lot of real estate for my dad's business colleagues 40 years ago. It's like it's crazy how things go. So my brother got into it when he was finished, got into real estate, and yeah, when my dad kind of said, "Yeah, you got to do this because you know that they're making the I guess the process. It's going to be like a 4-year curriculum now, and now you can actually do it still, you know, online learning, and you don't have to go anywhere." And so he kind of convinced me, and you know, plus there's a kind of bragging rights because there's like I don't know how many tests you're writing tests all the time. So I think, you know, my dad and brother, they were together, and they were trying to one up each other, I guess. And my dad, you know, he's as competitive as it gets. He's in his 70s and won't stop. So anyway, yeah, I came back to Waterloo. I live here, lived in the area very close to where I grew up. And yeah, I got my broker's license a couple months ago, actually. And yeah, so
Congratulations. Yeah.
thanks a lot. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess because my real question then, so if you are a broker, then that means you are in fact retired, because Elite Prospects told me that you played in the 5th division of the German league for my notes here, the Kempten
Oh
team.
shit.
Did you play? Is that a real thing? Because it didn't say you actually like scored a goal or had an assist. It just was dashes. Did you play over in Germany in 2019-20?
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I was kind of home chilling, and I'm not on social media or anything, but I got a message. I get periodic messages from different platforms, whatever. And so I was like, okay, I'll mostly just kind of go through them. And this guy writes me, and he's like, hey, I'm whoever he was, whatever position you have the team, but he was just telling me about this team, and in Germany, he was like, you want to play? And I kind of like. I didn't know about the team. I've been so far removed at that point. And yeah, anyway, it was going back and forth. And I said, I was talking to my family about it. And yeah, it was just, they said, yeah, it was I think it was in like end of January, early February. And the worst part was my birthday is in December. And prior to that, for like the past, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it's been, I've always tried to like keep into shape. And I like was running a lot. I was doing like a ton of like workouts, nothing like weights really, but just like a lot of cardio. And I was skating and running, and I was doing a lot of like Pilates stuff for my back. And I was probably at like 36, 35, 36. I was probably like, I was in pretty good shape. I have to say, like I was running 10 kilometers pretty quickly, regularly in the mornings.
So you decided to show everybody in the 5th league in Germany what's up, or what?
No, that's what I'm saying. So then December comes around that year, and I'm like, oh, it's my birthday, then it's Christmas, and I had a lot of stuff going on, and it was just like, a lot of stuff going on, and I just kind of it was a great summer, but I just wanted to let go, and kind of in the winter time. So like leading up to my birthday, I was eating ton, dinners, doing everything, drinking. I usually try not to drink, and I didn't for that period of time. And then for my birthday, was drinking. That was December. We had so many dinners. January rolls around, New Year's parties. I was just a mess. I put on a lot of weight. I think I did a lot of, whatever. And yeah, and then sure enough, in January, when I'm just really out of it, these guys reach out and they're like, "Yeah, you want to play again?" And yeah, so anyway, long story short, they were like, "Yeah, it's this we're kind of like yeah, whatever league, fifth league." And I said, "Yeah, all right, well, let's see." And yeah, man, it was tough. Honestly, when I was there, I was like, these guys were like, they had guys from like different countries. It was like imports, and then there was, I couldn't have cared less, but there was like articles about how like this team was like trying to like stack the team, and they had ideas of moving up and all this other stuff. And I was just like thinking, this is like kind of I'm going to go there. It's going to be like a kind of an all-inclusive paid thing, and yeah, so I went there and I played. I ended up, I think, playing 4 games. I had 4 goals or 5 goals in 4 games, and the last game was like, a guy got hit in the teeth on my team, lost his teeth and everything. And I was like, maybe this isn't, really kind of what I'm really wanting to do. And I kind of miss being back home anyway. And this is, and then the pandemic happened, and then they kind of shut down the whole league and everything. So I was like, I had to get out of there anyway. And that was it. So I was there for probably about a month.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I was just curious because
Yeah.
I saw the Oberliga, which was the 3rd league, but I never got down to the 5th league. I was just curious what you're up to. People get curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. So now we've kind of covered a lot of it, but give me the quick rundown of your minor hockey to the Windsor Spitfires.
Minor hockey was kind of it was all over. I ended up going to Streetsville Derbies. Played there after I played in Waterloo. I don't remember the names of like the peewees and stuff, but I think I was 14 or 15, something around there. I played for Streetsville, and then I went from Streetsville the next year to Guelph Junior B, and then I got drafted to Windsor, and then I broke my ankle in roller hockey, and I missed kind of the beginning of the season, but I had to get another surgery on my ankle, and then I kind of had to get back into shape and kind of confirm my position there. It was a tough season there. It was my first kind of year away from my family full time, and the coach really had it like he really wanted to kind of push me, I guess, or whatever. But it was tough. Like it was a hard first season.
That's a really tough age to break your ankle, eh?
Oh man, yeah, it was tough. And then I didn't realize till later on, but I had like really bad asthma, and I really needed an inhaler, and I couldn't. It was like I was always struggling for my breath, and I was just overweight at the time and trying to get into shape. And they were doing a lot of running. They wanted me to run a lot, skate a lot. My hip flexor would kill me, but it was tough. It was a tough first year, but I think everybody has to go through it.
Okay, so now you're in Windsor. You do get drafted 3rd round, so I'm assuming you're tall at this point.
Yeah,
Because that's back in the day where tall guys were succeeding in hockey, right?
yeah,
Realistically,
yeah,
at our age group, tall
yeah.
guys were succeeding. But you go 3rd round. What year's that, and what kind of season did you have?
I believe that was 2002. It was in Toronto, and I remember that. And then they called my name, and I went down, kind of met the table. I had to do the combine before, and I was really nervous about that. I had a really good combine, but I met the kind of the guys there, and I remember the interview. I thought New Jersey might be interested in me just because I had a lot of interviews with them, and they seemed positive. And then I guess ended up going back to the OHL, and I finished in Oshawa, which was great. That was like the most fun I had in the OHL was in Oshawa. One of my close friends at the time, he got drafted to Windsor. Then he got traded to Oshawa the year before, and he's from Oshawa Whitby. And
Who's that?
What's that?
Who's that?
Matt Macaron.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard he's the Nike. He's affiliated with Nike now. I think he's like does all like the promotional stuff. So if they ever sponsor a guy or something, he's the guy that goes there and befriends them.
You tell him to reach out. The pod still doesn't have a sponsor, so if he wants to reach out, I'm right here, guys. Right here, man, Nike.
Well, anyway, him and I were pretty close there, and George Burnett was the coach, and he loved me, and I fit right in. And we kind of had like a melange of different characters on the team, and I think that's kind of why I fit in, and everybody was kind of out there or whatever. I don't know. And we were kind of like a cocky club too. And our playoff slogan that year was "Who's next?" And we're like, that just kind of gave you an idea. And we had some really good players on the team. We had a kind of we had a pretty good team, and we beat Peterborough at the time. There was some Eric Stahl was on Peterborough, and I remember we beat him in Game 7 overtime, and that was a highlight too. And then we lost the 67s, and that was it. Yeah, that was the end of my career in OHL. And then
You signed with New Jersey, right?
New Jersey, yeah.
So then you play a 3-year entry level deal. What's your rookie year like? And also my next question is like, do you ever feel like you should have been called up and like you thought you were going to be?
3 year, yeah. So I went from Oshawa, where I had the time of my life really, and and then when I signed, I think New Jersey they won the cup that year. They actually flew me down after I signed, and I was there for, I don't know if it was Game 7 or not, but it was against Anaheim, and I was there, and that was really cool to see that. It was kind of, like these guys just won the cup. It was crazy, and everybody was so proud, and it was kind of, the players were jacked. I remember being in like just kind of the area there, and it was pretty cool. And then
you got flown down there when they won the cup?
I got flown down there, and I remember it was funny because I got a limo from I don't know if it was from the airport or the hotel, but I remember going to Continental Airlines, and I was in the back of a limo, a blacked out limo. And the guy told the security, and this is a Stanley Cup, it's like the whole thing is sectioned off, and this limo driver drives up, and there's a cop there. He's got like kind of like a New York accent or whatever. I just remember that. And he's like, "Man, you can't come in here," or whatever. And the guy's like, "I got a player in the back." And the guy was like, "Oh my God, this guy's playing." And the game was about to start in like, I don't know, probably, 45 minutes or whatever. And anyway, they just drove in, and just there's kind of like just an entrance there, walked in like kind of the New Jersey entrance. And then I went all the way upstairs, took an elevator, like watched the game in the rafters. And there was a few other guys from Anaheim that were up there, like high draft picks. And I was there for, I think, the next day, and then flew back. Yeah, that was the closest I ever got to the Stanley Cup.
Well, no, that's closest I've got is Mark Hardigan said he'd come on the podcast, and I played with him, and he won it. The year I played with him, he won it.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, that's as close as I got. My teammate won it the same year I played with him. He got traded from Syracuse to the Anaheim organization, and Columbus, Syracuse. He got traded to Anaheim, whoever, and Portland, I think, and won the Stanley Cup. And he actually played in the finals. So, so that's a big deal.
Wow, incredible.
Yep. So, okay. So you didn't feel like you were close to a call up in those 3 years, though?
I had a really good first camp, and I thought, honestly, I think a lot of people say that, but I felt really good first camp. I was jacked up, and felt awesome. And so long ago. Oh yeah, I got sent down. Like, I think I had one exhibition game, and I didn't do very well, and I think they sent me down right away. And then I remember going from like this plush hotel in West Orange to like this, kind of, I don't know, Best Western or whatever it was, and it was just like living in dorms, and then getting a taste of the American League. And like, you're low, man. At that time, like, I think I was, pretty low on the totem pole. I remember the guys were like, not guys, but coaches were hounding me. And I remember they were like, fucking, I went from like this one guy in the OHL that was really hard on me. Then I went to another guy that loved me, was easier on me. And I just played so much better. And then I went right away back into the fire with these like 3 bloodhounds. They were like, I bag skated, and fuck, the one guy, I think he wanted to, I don't know, it was crazy. And it was a nightmare. And there were a lot of college guys there. I think I was the only guy from the O.
I would say, though, back in our day, coaches, like, they were meaner. Like,
Oh,
we're not around the hockey game really anymore, but
no.
like coaches were mean back then. Like they weren't nice to you, right?
Oh man. The story, like I don't want to get into like some of the shit part of it, but yeah, like they were nasty. They did, like, it was crazy back then. When I hear stories now about what they're not allowed, I mean, you know what, it was just kind of I think it was just accepted. Everything was that way, and I'm not even critical about it. Like that's why I don't want to talk. It was just they were hard on me. They were out for blood, and you know, I think I would have been better with like a different style. And I'm not questioning their style or anything like that. I think that was like that's maybe how they learned it, and they and maybe it did well for certain players, and but I wasn't kind of one of them. It just wasn't a fit. That was a problem with it. But definitely the coaching style, and when you kind of hear, you know, through the grapevine, you know, what coaches are getting caught out for now, and what's acceptable and what isn't, and you know, just kind of, you know, I guess that's just the times now, and we kind of grew up in a probably a more yeah. And again, like I said, I had George Burnett in Oshawa, and he was awesome. The assistant coaches there, I think it was I forget the one guy's name. He was a D man, and then Brian, or the whoever the commissioner was, his son Branch, his son was the other assistant coach, man. And I remember I came back late from curfew, and they didn't, you know, I mean, they didn't care and whatever. And I think there was kind of like, you know, if you did well, you could kind of push the envelope a little bit, and there's kind of like carrot and stick kind of thing. And you just can't get the stick all the time. You know, that's the whole thing. And I think that's kind of what I ran into with a lot of it, with a lot
Yeah.
of the coaches.
Yeah, and like I also could see, I'm just guessing, I could be wrong, but like when you're as big as you were at that point, and the AHL would have been the way it was, would you have been getting asked to fight a lot then? Because you're not, I wouldn't consider you a fighter. You're a goal scorer.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. My brother was a really good fighter, and he kind of made a name for himself.
Because I beat you up in junior B. I don't know if you remember, but I did,
Yeah, well,
right?
but
I made your
I
nose
have no
bleed. I made your nose
I,
bleed. I remember it.
I I have no shame in that whatsoever. I know how you grew up. You were a tough kid, like you were a farm boy. I know that from Elmira. And you Elmira guys, I mean, the Sugar Kings were no joke. You guys were tough. You know,
Yeah.
there was a lot of tough farm kids there.
Oh yeah,
And
the Weidman boys, the Clemmer boys. Yep, yep.
yeah, exactly. So I have no doubt. But I was you know, like I always worked out. I always try to stay in shape. You know, I took some, you know, I took a lot of, like, not a lot, but yeah, I was involved with like judo and kickboxing, and but I didn't play hockey to go fight or to like, I like playing hockey. I like, you know, and I was big, so I did play physical, and you know, I did fight maybe, you know, a little bit here and there, but that's not what I was my thing. You know what I mean? I always kind of stood up for teammates when I could, and stood up for myself for sure. I didn't get asked to fight a lot, and I actually was told that I should fight. And I remember there was a lot of times that I I would have fought because I was kind of not confident that I would win, but I felt comfortable enough that I could fight and, you know, probably protect myself or do okay. And it was something that I wanted to kind of get gradually better at. And a lot of times I'm glad that I didn't get into a lot of those fights, because I probably would have got, you know, beat up or whatever. But yeah, I never, yeah, that wasn't really my thing. I think, you know, today they would be more acceptable. You could have a big guy that can skate and play. And before,
It wasn't. It really
it
wasn't.
wasn't.
It
Yeah, I
wasn't
know.
acceptable. It wasn't. If you're
No.
that big, you have to be like Probert. You have to be
Yeah.
like you have to do it all. Like it was, the
Yeah.
AHL back then was a bloodbath.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And I can't believe that I got out of it 3 years in the AHL. I can't believe I got out of it kind of relatively unscathed, just considering that it was a tough league. The second year I played was the lockout year, and there was everybody wanted to make an impression, and you know, yeah, it was a tough league, and there was some, you know, again, I'm a pretty decent sized guy, and there was a lot of big guys. You know, I remember like it wasn't uncommon for D man to be, you know, I don't know what, I can't remember the teams, but Bufflin was there, and like these guys were all like 6'5", 6'6", 2. Like you go down the sheet before the game, and you're like, you fit in with the rest. Like I think 6'3" or 6'4", and probably 240 pounds, 250 pounds. I was 250 probably my last year. I was a little bit heavy, but usually I played around 240, and like it was, guys saw that and they were like, all right, well, this guy, he's either going to fight or something. And so it was a tough league. There were a lot of tough guys in that league.
Yeah, no, but like I know how skilled you were from back when you were the short fat kid in Adam,
Yeah.
right? Like in Adam, you were the skilled guy, and then all of a sudden I see I guess it was like whatever 10 years later at Conestoga College drop-in skate, and all of a sudden you're an absolute monster that's 6'4" or whatever. And I never grew. I was still the short fat kid.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yeah, that's right. That's funny how that works.
Shoot, how that didn't work out for me. But
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? I guess. Well, I don't know though, because it's not like your old man is like jacked up, but like my old man, my body, my physique. I guess we just were we really hit the nail on the head. All right. So I think, are we done with the Devils? Because my curious question then is, you explained kind of how you came about having the new name, but
Yeah.
how do you go about making the decision to head to Europe? And is that when that happens? Is that when the passport happens?
Yeah, exactly. So my brother was there before me, and I actually went down. He was playing in Germany, and I flew down with him because he had to go there early. And so I was there and skating, and I think that kind of caused a little bit of ended up causing an issue, and it was with the Devils, because I was going back there for the next year, my third year, and I think they were kind of put off by that, and that I was already kind of going to Europe or whatever and skating. And but I was just there just because it was an opportunity to kind of skate with Adam and with the kind of pro guys, and it was tough for me to get ice here a little bit with some of the guys, I guess, and wanted to support my brother. But yeah, then I put in my mom's German, so I just had to fill out an application and got it. And then yeah, I went at the end of the season with New Jersey there, Albany. I had a lot of offers for Europe, just kind of coming to me, and just because of how things ended, and it wasn't like a real highlight of my life, living there, and that just, it wasn't working with the organization, and I just wanted a kind of a fresh start, and then when I went over to Europe.
Well, and like there's always those things, right? Where like you never know, because every hockey player had different forks in the road, and
Right.
nobody ever knows what may or may not have happened.
Right.
However, playing in the AHL compared to some of the cities you got to play in is not even comparable in the slightest. Like you were in Davos, Beal, you're in Switzerland, you're in all these beautiful places. The AHL, I was there for a very brief moment. I did not muster up a point, but I did get a fight.
Mhm.
But like those towns and the lifestyle and driving around on those buses,
Yeah, it was
that's
tough.
not
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah, it was tough. And at that time, I'm, kind of in my 20s, young. I was 21, 22, 23 kind of thing. And then there was like a high expectation for me to come over to Europe. And, there was just a kind of, yeah, it felt good to go there. And my parents were kind of supporting it. And, yeah, and at this point, like it was like 3 hard years for me. It was very difficult living in a city that I really hated, and it just, yeah, it was yeah, it was just,
Yeah.
for me, it was I needed a fresh start. I really did, because I was kind of losing my enthusiasm for it, and which was a problem, because you got to be fully committed to go anywhere in any walk of life. And at that point, I just decided that, as much as I wanted to have a big career and have a big contract in the NHL, it was, I just, at that point, I said, well, it's so far away. And if it was really going to happen, and maybe it still can, but I need to get a new kind of enthusiasm for hockey again.
I totally understand because I had lost my enthusiasm, especially with the way my pro career started. And then I, like, instead of signing like an East Coast AHL deal again, it was like, well, I'd like Europe. And like, once you get over there, okay, now it's time. We're going there.
Yeah.
So, like, where do you go first? Because I did see the first year you're a bit of a suitcase. You had three Swiss A teams and a German team all of the first year, right?
Yeah, it's so I think maybe on paper it looks kind of weird or yeah, because you go from North America, you're not bouncing around that much. That's really, yeah, you're right. That's a suitcase, exactly. So the first team I go to is Davos, and the only reason I got this, I mean, at this point I was getting a lot of offers from a lot of teams. Obviously Germany because I have a passport there, but Switzerland, I'm an import. I'm not a like a national player. In Germany, I wouldn't be an import. In Germany, you could have, I think you could have probably 10 imports, something like that. And in Switzerland, you can only have 4. And it's such an amazing, it's such a nice place to live. And, there's a lot of benefit to playing in Switzerland. I think it's like in high demand for a lot of players. So you gotta be kind of the best player going because there's just the guys that are available to play there are high. You can see that. I think over the years Switzerland's become just a little bit more exposure. But anyway, Davos was like kind of like a Swiss. It's like kind of the Yankees of,
No,
Switzerland.
and like I know that. And my
Yeah.
question is so the German passport is not the reason. You're getting that strictly because of your AHL season, basically. Like you're getting that as an import.
Yeah, I listen. It's Switzerland is the hardest
Yeah.
league, in my opinion, to get into. And I've always been an import there. You only have 4 imports, and the only country that I could play that I wouldn't be an import was Germany, which is also a very great league, but it's not the kind of the premier league to play in. Switzerland is the goal. And so yeah, as you know, there's so many talented hockey players out there and from all different countries, and they would all be imports. That you're not an import if you're Swiss. And to get your Swiss license is like you got to be there for like 13 years. You have to pass the language test. You're not getting it pretty much. And then but there were some Canadian players that had a Swiss license because of either their parents were like, their dad played in the league and they married a Swiss girl and they had this, the child, and then he grew up to play there. So there was a few guys there that had a Swiss license, that they were Canadian really, but they were like me with Germany. They were the same with Switzerland. So anyway, what happens is this, yeah, I can't remember. Some agent called me or whatever, and I was getting different ones. Like, everyone was saying one thing or another, one league, this league. And so so this guy puts me in touch, or he says, yeah, Davos wants you, and he kind of gives me how much I would make there.
So
And kind of,
Davos comes out of nowhere. Is this like from the agent you had, or like how do you get like how did that guy come about? Like that Davos is reaching out to you because Davos can basically get like
yeah,
anybody.
exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But to me, I'm looking at Europe. Like I just played 3 years in the American League. The 1 year was the lockout year, and I played. And then in training camp, I felt like I could have made the team. Like there was no reason, in my opinion, why I couldn't make it. I think it was more about other influences or other factors. But I felt like I was talented enough and had the ability to play. Um, and then, so when somebody said, oh yeah, like Europe is like, oh yeah, this team is like a really high end team, I was like, well, I'm going to go there and I'm going to try to be the best player on that team anyway. So when they said, oh, Davos was interested in you, I was like, well, I felt confident that I could go there and do very well. Like I kind of had that chip on my shoulder that I was going to go there and like, they're not going to be stronger than me. I was like jacked. I was 250 pounds at the time. And I was like 24 or 23, whatever it was. I was ready to go. And so then the coach, he's a really well-known coach in Europe. His name's Arno Del Curto. He's very famous there, and he's like a wild guy too. He comes to the games in jeans and old loafers, so I was on the phone with him a bunch of times. I was just like brazen with him too. I was like, Arno, like you're not going to sign me. I'm going to come there. And I pretty much told him the same thing I said now. I was like, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to be a physical player that's going to score pretty much. And so what happens is he knows Thornton, and because Thornton was over there,
Joe
Thornton, yeah, and Rick Nash were over there before. The year before was the lockout year, so he had a relationship with him. So I guess what had happened was what he had told me is that he had got feedback from Brodeur that, oh, this kid can play, and that I don't know why he didn't make it. That's the guy that got me this Davos contract.
Martin Brodeur did?
Martin Brodeur. That's what I heard right from Del Corto. And I
from
remember
the guy in the jeans and the loafers.
That's what I heard from him. Yeah. That's what I heard from him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? When I think about it, like you at 6'4" and jacked, and you say you're 6'4" and 250, that just at that point I was thinking, Jesus. And you were 24. At 24, I was like 5'8" and like 200, and it wasn't a healthy 200. But anyways, you were a jacked 6'4", 250, but that's fine. You know, people grow at different paces. You know, maybe I'm just hit my stride now, right? But that when the comparison to Joe Thornton actually is when I saw the short fat kid in Minor Adam that was really talented, and then you grew into this massive individual, is you always were a really big guy that could make plays, kind of like Big Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like at that time, you know, a power forward was that's kind of the mold that I tried to put myself in. You had to play physical, which I like. You know, I like playing physical. I had a big body, and I could skate, and I had a good shot.
The shot was the real deal.
Yeah.
Like, the shot would hurt people at the Conestoga College drop-in games. Like, I don't think you were actually allowed to shoot in those games because you would actually hurt people, because your snapshot is way harder than my slap shot, and that is me putting the full barrel into it.
I always tried to work on my shot. I smashed out my parents' garage door growing up. And then I remember the turning point with me, and I think a lot of kids, they have to get this drilled home all the time. My brother said to me, how, you know, I remember being on the ice with him, and him like trying to drill home, like how your shot has to be, you know, your bread and butter, so to speak. That's really important. And I just worked on it. I ended up getting a good technique with my shot. And I still got, I got, I don't know how many sticks I have here, but I always tweaked my curve a little bit.
The technique is what really stands out to me when we're talking, is just because later and now it's just making my brain go, is like at the end of my career, there was this Thomas Spelling in Denmark. This kid was 20 years old, and he could just flex the stick and it would just zoom off the stick. And now it's making me remember you shoot that puck at that poor individual at the Conestoga College, and you took a couple wristers, and I was like, he might kill him if he actually hits him with one of those. But you were doing like the new technology with a stick before anybody else was. Like, you figured out how to do it before these kids are doing it now, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, as far as like technology is concerned, like with like I think getting your curve and kind of like, you know, like
your shot was years ahead of the rest of the people. I saw you take a few snapshots, like, and I heard about it in Germany when I was toiling in the second league. Like, I would hear of this guy in the DEL that like could just shoot the puck from center and beat a goalie with a snapshot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did score some goals. Yeah. Shooting it, and I always tried to work on it. I always was tweaking with my sticks, and when they came out with one piece sticks, I was hoping to get like my own curve in a one piece. And I mean, definitely my shot was something that you know, kind of came in handy, I guess. I don't know what else to say with it. Yeah, I had to end up getting
all right, we better move on then, because everybody now knows you can really wrist her. Okay. Yeah. So you went to Davos, you got that contract, but then you did play on 3 different teams that year. We got really sidetracked, man. Dude, we're still in your first year in Europe. Like, come on, man.
I'll explain this one quickly. So like I mentioned, North America, it's not like that. You can't kind of loan out players, and that's what happened. Like it wasn't going well for me my first year there in Switzerland, and the coach that, like I said before, there's 4 imports. The top 2 are relatively safe. The bottom 2, they're trying to get rid of you right away, and there's just so many guys. So I went pointless or goalless for I don't know how many games with Davos. And
that's unacceptable over there.
It was not only that, but it became, the coach didn't want to get rid of me. He had the players were kind of like turning against me. Alexander Dag was there, and he was the leading scorer of the league, and so he was the other import. And then we had 2 D-men, and so Dag was like ripping it up, and then he had like, I don't know, he was
and
leading.
I just find you two probably weren't gonna mesh because he's all speed and you're like cool, calm, collected, and
we're totally different players. But then
that's not gonna mesh.
We didn't even end up playing together and for that long, and so like, and then it's not like I'm game 3. I'm in like probably by game 3, I was getting like 5 minutes a game. I'm not the guy that they were setting up. And then the Swiss guys, they were like, get this guy out of here. He's got 0 points, and they were trying to win a championship there right away. And you can't have an import that's not like dominating in Davos, because they just went from Joe Thornton and Rick Nash, and then they got Dag, and then they got me, this kid, who's this kid? And then why'd they even, so then they're like,
Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that didn't go anywhere then. That didn't pay the bills. That got me the tryout kind of thing. And so,
well, thank you, Martin.
Yeah, so this is when I kind of, exactly. I mean, I don't think he needs me to, but that'd be funny if he, yeah. But anyway, so I got a reality check. So I go into the room, and I mean, at this point, I'm like 20 games in or 15 games in, whatever. It felt like an eternity. And I was there in the summertime, and they were like, oh man, the train, like it was totally different hockey. And I was in over my head. I was walking into like a, it was way, I guess I can't say.
No, like, so I would say for me, like, I know, like I did play a game against a Swiss A team. And like, if you were coming from the AHL and you're thinking you're going to run the show there, like you're confident, you're feeling the flow, and you're big and strong, like you get over there and you realize actually how good people are in Switzerland. You actually don't realize how awesome they are at hockey.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this guy ends up becoming my general manager on another team, but he was the captain of Bern, and he was a D-man, and I didn't know who these guys were. I didn't, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to play Bern. This is going to be a crazy game. Oh, it's going to be sold out. And I was like, I was pumped for this game for sure. And I mean, there was nobody that you're really intimidating. Like I tried to impose myself on this guy. And I remember the captain there, he was like, I think we ended up fighting or something. And they were dirty too. I mean, if you were cheap in the American League, you were going to get it. That's kind of, you couldn't get away with that. There was like I liked the American League for that. Like there was good policing on that. And then in Europe, it was like I got speared right away. I got like cross-checked hard in my back. A lot of that.
And then if you actually went and fought that guy, you would get in so much trouble because you're an import. You are not allowed to fight.
Oh yeah, like and the refs, they weren't loving the fact that an import is going to play tough against Swiss guys. And then it was just, man, it was a wake-up call. There was a lot of stuff that just happened there that you're a long way away from home, and you got nobody to turn to really. It's just you. And I think that kind of really shaped me a lot. Like I got like at the end of the day, we're kind of, when I think about myself now, I've always, this is the moment that like kind of shaped my mindset now. It's results based. That's all it is. It's purely results based. You could have the biggest story, you could have whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's results based. So anybody who's a great guy or whatever it is, it's results based. That's all it is. Because if I would have scored 10 goals, in 10 games there or whatever like that, then you'd be around. But you go 0 goals, 10 games, you're out. That's kind of the way it works.
It's the same as like I said to Stan Butler in the one episode is there's winning and there's losing. Like you're either doing it or you're not. It's the same in your business world now. It's the same as a realtor. You're either buying or you're selling, but you got to be doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was kind of like the wake up call. Like, so then I realized that, okay, so then just going to the story. So then they were like, you're not, it's not working out here. We're going to loan you to this team. They need a player because their imports hurt.
In the same league. In the same league.
Yeah.
Like you're playing against the team that's like paying you, right?
The team still, so the team that gets you, they'll pay for that game, whatever that works out to be, whatever they charge that team for you to play. Or I don't even know if that was the case with me. I mean, the coach and he was kind of running the show. Like he's the only guy that kind of had my back. So I'm sure he wanted me to play rather than sit out. Like you can't be 24 trying to make it back to North America. You're the import and then you're sitting out for, all these games. And so I'm sure he was trying to do me a favor by getting other teams to see me play. So I went to one game and played really well, and then they're like, "Oh man, you're awesome." And then the next game, I didn't play well, or I didn't score, whatever it was, and they lost. And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not working out." And then I go back. Then I went back to Davos, and then I went to another team, and they're like, "I don't remember," but I remember that was one story. And I went to another team, and clearly oh yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, so they were like, "Yeah, we would." I think it was Rappersville or some other team. I can't remember, but. Yeah, they were interested in like signing for me possibly to play there. And then this team in Germany then calls
Hamburg.
my agent. Hamburg, yeah, they called my agent and they're like, "Yeah, we want him because he's a non-import." So Germany was lighting up this agent and the team to trade me to Germany. And I said, "I don't want to go to Germany. I can go there. I can go there anytime. I'm an import. I'm not an import there. And I'm not done with this league because I know I can play here still. Like I'm trying to figure it out." Like it was tough. Like again, it was a short leash. I played 1 or 2 games and then that was it. You were getting like 2 minutes a game. You weren't playing and they were trying to get rid of you right away and figure out who's going to take you. And none of the other imports were bad at that time or they weren't hurt or whatever it was. So it was nuts. And then I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm not going to Germany on this
you're
kind of
not
deal
even
here.
An import, yeah. And then you're playing in a league that's just not that good.
I didn't understand that the contract was going to get canceled. I mean, I just gave up my chance in the NHL that year because they threw a nice contract my way, and then 10 games in, which I don't even think that I got a fair chance at it, they're going to cancel it, and then like I'm now where am I going to go? Now, like I have no.
So they were just going to cancel it. Like you're just.
They were going to. So I remember talking to this.
So you
agent.
Get bought out.
I go to this agent comes down. Yeah, exactly. So this agent comes down. I meet him in this kind of chalet restaurant, and he's just big wheeling me. And he's like, I don't know. Anyway, he's like, "Yeah, listen, like telling me this." And I was just, in my head, when you kind of think of what you've gone through in life, I think that's where we get our kind of personality, our confidence from. And I know how hard I've worked through hockey and how much like dues I've been, on the wrong end of it. I've been on the good end of it. And then I go through all this AHL stuff, the OHL stuff. That was like a kind of like I've been paying kind of a lot of dues. And then for this agent come and like try to like tell me that he's going to be in charge of my career. I was like, they said they were going to
sit right.
No, it didn't sit right, and so I was pretty upset about it, but I had no other choice really. So I went to.
So this agent, can I just Coles notes this so I understand? Is this agent is telling you your contract's is gonna be basically done with Davos?
Yeah.
Or they give you a settlement to get out of it, or you go to Germany and you make all the money.
Yeah, pretty much he was saying that, the team is, they're going to fire you. They're going to fire you. and then you're going to have that. And then, and he said to me that they can do that here. I'd never heard of that before. How could we have a contract and then all of a sudden they're going to fire me? That's the whole point. That's why I left, is because, this is the contract, I don't know either if I'm going to have a great season, but that's kind of what I was kind of, taken back by it. And then what was my alternative, and then this team in Hamburg, they flew me out there. I met with everybody, and then I flew back to Davos. Like, I just flew there for like 2 days. They like showed me around and gave me like kind of like a, good hospitality, introduced me to the ownership kind of thing. And they're like, come here.
I've been to Hamburg at least 3 times.
Great city.
It is a great city.
Awesome city.
Yeah.
So
so
fast forward to that. I fly back, meet with the team, meet with the agent. I said, I'll do it. I'm out of here. So then I fly to Hamburg, and then I played my rest of my season there.
Okay. So then that season ends. Okay. That season ends, and now it makes sense why you played on the other teams. Is that loaning thing? I had heard about it.
That's all it was.
Well, I played with guys in like the second league in Germany, and they were telling me like when they're in the Swiss B League, like the second league, they would get loaned to teams in the Swiss A League, and like for like the playoffs to be like a black ace. And
exactly.
They would make 5 times the money in 2 months than they did all year.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep, exactly right.
Okay. Anyways, next part is from there you go to, this is, I think personally, so after that year of getting kind of toyed around and you're on 3 different Swiss A teams in Hamburg, is this next year, I think, is your career defining year. Personally, I think this is when you establish your, sorry folks, I burped in the mic again. This is when you establish yourself as like I'm better than everybody else around Europe. Is you scored 41 goals in the DL. Has anybody done that since?
That's a good question. I don't know. I agree with you. I think that is that was the decision to go to Hamburg. And when I went there and to see how I was treated in Hamburg, they treated me so well. I got along so well with the coach. The general manager was awesome to me. I had like this, that was probably
and you realize how awesome Germany is, right? Like I didn't know how awesome Germany was until I went there.
Man, I had no idea. I had no idea how amazing it was going to be. And and that's right, because when I was in Davos, it was Nittel. I played under Nittel when I was in Davos. And I remember it was in Germany because I was under my German passport, because I was Canadian in Davos.
So now your name switches.
Now my name switches. And so it was like, it was serendipity. You know what I mean? It was crazy. I'm hating hockey. You can imagine how much I hate hockey right now. I don't even want to play.
That's probably the best word used yet on the podcast in 31 episodes or whatever you are, is serendipity. Well used, man. Well done. Is that
not it? Right?
I'm pretty sure that's what it means. I think there was a movie about it.
The guy hates hockey. Like I hated myself at the time. I mean, I was barely on the ice. They wouldn't even, this was a long.
And the fans hate you. They were almost like, they're like almost chanting, like, fire these people, right? Like I've seen it in Europe. It can get so outrageous that they like, it's like they don't realize you have real feelings. Like you're an actual person.
Hey, okay. So exactly what I said before was, it's all about results. You're the coolest, best guy. They love you if you're scoring or you're winning or whatever. And when you're not scoring, they're like, get this guy out of here. And I remember a funny story, and it's going to come full circle here. So I get to Davos. This is like, and we get a first game, and there's a guy in like the fan zone right behind kind of the goalie, and he buys my jersey. And I remember coming out for the first game, and he's got my jersey. It's like right on this wall. Like they had big expectations for this, like for me to be good there. I'm an import, and I was like 55, and I remember
55 Nittel.
Yeah. And then so I come out for a warm up, and Davos is a sick barn. It's really sweet, fast ice, and I'm so excited for my first game to get it underway. And I see my jersey there, and I'm like, man, I'm loving it or whatever. And we end up winning the game, but I didn't really do anything. And I remember I was like, shit, like like things were sliding. I was like, man, like I'm going to come out there, and the jersey was gone. They didn't have it on there for like the warm up. And I was like, man, that's a bad sign. And then like, just the crazy shit was happening, and I could just feel it. But anyway, then I go to Hamburg, and they're like, hey,
They
listen,
love you.
oh my God, a new name. These people freaked out for my name. I think that was like a big thing. And they like, and I loved them. I loved it. I played it up. I was on.
Did they have like songs and stuff for your name? Like after, I know how it is. Like after a game, they bring a player out if he played well, and they'll like sing a song, and you got to do a dance. Were they doing that for you?
Hamburg, they had an amazing arena, and the same team that owned Hamburg, I think, owned like another team, maybe Berlin. I don't know, but it was like this big group. They just put the team there, and the fan base was growing. And when I got there, they like, this is a big thing for me to go there, and we were kind of trying to make the playoffs, and we did really well when I was there, and I did really well. And the arena was packed. It was a brand new arena. It was like 14,000 fans. We had a sick restaurant there. We flew to most of the games we had to fly to. We had this like sick bus. And I went from Davos, which is like, they didn't do that. Davos was to me like very similar to, or Switzerland was almost comparable to Russia in some senses. Like it wasn't as professional as Germany. Germany was super professional. It was crazy. The coach in Switzerland was wearing like ripped jeans, like D squared ripped jeans and loafers or whatever, and like the same sweater. And then I go to Germany, it's like suit and ties. It's just like kind of how I remembered what
Yeah,
was.
you're playing in Hamburg, buddy. You're not in like Bietigheim and stuff where like your coach gets behind the bench with like blue jeans on and some ridiculous green shoes that the Steelers give you that are horrendous looking.
This was awesome. They took care of me, and I was doing really well, and I just loved it. And then so kind of fast forward, my brother played in Nuremberg, a rival kind of city.
The Ice Tigers.
The Ice, that's right. Yeah, exactly. He played there, and he had a name. He made a name for the same thing, man. He had a name. You can imagine my brother. He had long blonde hair, and he was crushing guys. And I don't know. He was going out all the time, partying, having a great time. So I kind of had now this kind of reputation, like similar to my brother. They were saying, "Oh, this guy, he's like whatever." I don't know, but I just loved being there, and it felt amazing being, kind of loved, really, just being supported. I was loving that. I was trying to, go out and enjoy that, like relish in that energy. And then Nuremberg, they wanted me on that team so bad. And they had a long run in the playoffs when I was with Hamburg. And they said, and I remember I went down there, and I think they were in the finals or something. I can't remember what exactly happened. I think they lost in the finals. And they're like, man, you're the missing piece. They were saying everything, the best things you could say to a guy. And my brother was with me at the time. And they were just, they wanted me so bad. And Hamburg, they were like, they're like, yeah, no, we want you, but there's a lot of players out there. And I couldn't believe they said that. I couldn't believe it. And I remember,
you got a German passport.
Man, I honestly wanted to go back to Hamburg so bad because it was so fun, and I didn't want to leave. But Nuremberg was paying me more than Hamburg, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't believe that Hamburg was like not willing to like step up and get me.
But those teams and those leagues, man, like especially when you get to the lower divisions, like their budgets are their budgets. They cannot go over their budgets. They cannot find more money. The only way they do is if they go out for private sponsorships, and that's when players have to like literally get in bed with like private sponsors where they're like not actually getting in bed, but like you get paid by like a random fan, and that stuff does happen over there. But like their budgets are their budgets, and Nuremberg Ice Tigers, they had a good budget in Germany at the time, and they probably had more than Hamburg, and that's why they offer you more, right?
I know all about that too, about the sponsorship and how that kind of works. But so as soon as I kind of heard that reluctancy or whatever that they were saying, and they didn't want to kind of match. I don't think they matched it. They were kind of dragging their feet. Nuremberg was like, man, we're all in on you. You're going to be we're going to give you as much ice time as possible. And so I was like, and my brother was like, it's a no brainer. These guys want you. And then I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I signed with them, and it was crazy. I went to another team now,
And you had the literally like, okay, because you have still way too much to cover. We're gonna have to speed up.
Okay.
The problem is that this season right here is probably one of the best seasons in the DL in the last 40 seasons. And I'm not joking. And for all the listeners out there that think I'm trying to just pump his tires, this literally is 41 goals in the DL. I do not think has happened since. If I'm wrong, people of Germany that listen, the 8% of you of my listeners, of my demographics, please let me know, because I'm pretty sure 41 goals in the DL is as good as it gets. And I'm going P. Keep talking about that season, okay?
Yeah, you got it, man. All right, I'll tell you. So, yeah, thanks for the award. Yeah, the season I was in great shape. Remember, I had a really great summer training, and yeah, I was just excited for the year. And we had a good team, and I meshed well early on. And training camp was what I think defined the year, because I felt like I had so much pressure on me, and I needed to have a big year. I knew that, because I think I was 24, 25 at the time. And I needed to have a big year. That's for sure. So there was a lot of pressure. And I remember training camp kind of set the tone, where I scored a lot in training camp, and there was kind of a buzz behind our team. And I just got more confident. And I was having a lot of fun. And just really feeling a lot of good energy there, living there. And I just felt reinvigorated, and everything was just clicking for me. Every time I shot it, felt like it was going in. I felt I was, my speed was there, and they just took care of me, and I had a great season. I ended up having a great season.
You know what? I caught the tail end of it. I'm sure the people can listen to me opening up the door and coming back in. But to be honest with you, it sounds exactly like my first year in Bietigheim when I went there. And I know, like, it's just at a different scale. I'm in Germany and I'm in the second league, but I hadn't had that much fun playing hockey, and I had a big preseason, and I start scoring, and it just keeps rolling, and you get chemistry with your centerman or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like you said, the good energy from the fans and everything. Like when I was coming up for games, they would say, they'd say like your first name.
Yeah.
And the crowd would chant the last name.
Yeah.
For me, I got a Mr., right? I was Mr. Brent. And then they would say Walton. Like I was the only guy that got the Mr.
That's crazy.
And it was like, well, that's incredible. And I thanked the guy that worked in the penalty box that would announce that like all the time, every time I buy him a beer.
That's amazing.
But like he did that for me, and I got to live that way in Bietigheim until it ended. But I get positive energy, and you get rolling. Like it doesn't matter if you're in the second league or the first league. Like when people start getting behind you and you start getting the positive energy and you start feeling the groove, like it's like any player, man. You can play so much better or you can play so much worse based on how you're treated, how your lifestyle is, how everything is, right?
Of course, yeah. And I love scoring. And it's a great feeling. It's such a high. And you see these still photos. I looked at the kind of the post you made there, and then the one, and that's real emotion you feel there. I get so jacked up when I scored, and even maybe if I didn't have a big celebration, maybe you just kind of chase that, and you just love it. And when I was scoring and we were winning and you're playing good, and there's a buzz, or the fans are there. I think at the end of the day, we love playing in front of fans. As kids, that's our dream, play in front of fans. And
a lot of fans.
Yeah, like Amira, they had a fan base, whatever, 1,000 or whatever. I don't even know how many there are there in the junior B, but I remember seeing at Stratford, the Culletons, when my brother played junior B. I remember going. I saw my brother play. I thought it was an NHL game. Going there, just seeing the fans and just the stadium, the way it looks, and man, I'd get so jacked up, and you're rolling. You feel good, and you're scoring, and you're in Europe, and you're that's
living.
what
You're
you
living.
play for. Yeah, you're living. You know what I mean? And when you kind of find that nirvana kind of thing, you're feeling it.
Yeah, no, I got that, and I wanted to keep feeling it for the next. I wanted that same feeling for the next 4 years, so I just kept staying there, and it was
Yeah,
not the same. I got hurt the next year, then the
yeah,
team sucked, and it wasn't the same. But I tried to stay there for that to happen again, and obviously it just doesn't. But
yeah,
you actually switch teams, so you get 41 goals in a season, and
yeah.
then because a guy from this team has already been on the podcast, which you may or may not know that, but you go to Vityaz Chekhov of the KHL, and Darcy Verot came on. I don't know if you knew that, so he's been on, and he explained his 4 years there. He really enjoyed a lot of it. He enjoyed the earlier parts of his time there, but you come in I think, right near the end of his time, right?
Yeah, my boy Darcy there. Wow. Yeah, I got a, I got an offer from. At that point, I was at the end of my contract in Germany, and had a lot of interest, as you can imagine, having a big year. I felt great, and then I was kind of weighing everything out. I was getting offers from almost every league,
What about the
and
NHL?
I, I was in. I remember a guy came up to me, Colin Beardsmore, and he said, "Hey, I'm friends with." He played on the team, and he said to me when I was stretching, he said, "Hey, I'm friends with I think it's Jeff Ward, who was the coach, our assistant coach of Boston at the time." And I said, "He wants your cell phone number."
He was my grade 6 substitute gym teacher, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was the coach of the Kitchener Rangers here, and I think he always liked my brother.
Yeah.
And
He also was a substitute teacher at Park Manor public school for me, and you can ask him that. That's for sure. If anybody out there wants to ask him, go ahead.
wow,
Fun fact of the day.
yeah, interesting. So I was close with Boston, and I was close with Chicago and New York. I spoke to all
one ways or two ways.
Well, so here's what happened. So I wanted a one-way contract.
Yeah,
because I
because
didn't want to
Russia's
leave.
not giving you a two-way.
Yeah. So I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave for a two-way. And at that point, I said, it's either they really expect me to make, because I really felt at that point that if I got kind of the commitment from the team that they wanted me there, and that was their true intention, and kind of I felt like I needed a little bit of confidence that way, and I really wanted a one-way. And so we had these three teams, and it was pretty much me and my brother. Really, I wasn't speaking with him. My brother was kind of like being the intermediary there.
Your brother's been the intermediary with who?
With these NHL teams.
Pardon me?
Yeah, he was the intermediary between.
I know he's good at like hosting people for chicken wings with the
yeah.
roller rats. But what do
Yeah.
you mean? The NHL teams? He's your agent now?
Yeah, he was. I spoke to the Rangers after the. Also, after the only time I really spoke to the teams myself is I did speak to Glenn Sather, and another. It's the other guy. I forget his name, but he was. I think he was a defenseman. But I was on speakerphone with those two after my Russian season, my first year in Russia. I was on, but they were interested before. And anyway, what happened was I get an offer from a Russian team, and they just started the KHL, and they're like, look, and the kind of the buzz was, look, these guys they're spending huge money, and they want to compete with the NHL, because the NHL had I don't know, whatever it was at the time, if they're having like a lockout or they're getting a lot of Russian guys or whatever it was, but the KHL had just started. And I never thought about Russia in my life. And then I hear about the KHL. There's a big rumor about it. And they're saying, yeah, they're paying guys huge money. So sure enough, I get an offer from this Russian team, a 2-year deal. And I'm
so
saying,
how do you get that? Is that your brother still? Is he
No.
the one dealing with the NHL team?
Russian, yeah, right, exactly, yeah. Well, listen, what do you want me to do? That's kind of how the way it went down.
I've seen him fight guys in the penalty box in roller hockey.
At the time, to be honest with you,
I'm
I was
just
getting,
kidding. I'm
I,
just
I had
kidding.
to, yeah, I don't know, but at the time you had this one agent. I remember in Davos, he couldn't care less about me.
Yeah.
I never had any, I wasn't thinking about contracts when I was a kid, and my agent was taking care. I couldn't believe that they were just going to fire me and I was going to lose all this money anyway. And they didn't help me. My brother's actually the guy that really helped me get
Because
out
he
of
cared.
Switzerland.
Because he cared.
And I think, looking back, I think he was in contact with Hamburg too at some point, trying to get this done. And then he got the Nuremberg deal for me, and which really propelled my career. And then out of the blue, these guys were calling, and my brother, who else did I feel comfortable representing me at that time, or knowing, and my brother for sure had my best interest at heart. And if it was meant to be, it was. I mean, in hindsight, it didn't work out with the NHL teams, but I don't blame that on anybody. That's just how it happened. And so anyway, so this Russian team gives me this offer. It's a 2-year contract, and it was for a lot of money. And I freaked out when I saw it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And this Russian agent, he said, no, it's legit. These guys, they're paying everything. I said, look, I just got my contract canceled in Switzerland. So, how do I know? And they're like, they're going to transfer you. Like, here's the portion. Here's how they're going to break it down. And it was nuts. And then this other guy calls me. This other Russian agent calls me. And he says, no. I got a bigger deal for you.
Okay, so hold on. This is after the 41 goal year, right?
Yeah. This is right after.
Yeah. Okay, so, go ahead.
So I'm still in the apartment in Nuremberg, and this is when I actually got this first offer, and I was like, I was freaking out. I was like, I was so excited. You can imagine, you get, it was a big offer, and so I was freaking out. And then this other agent calls me shortly after. He's like, no, don't sign anything. I'm gonna get you an offer right away, and it's gonna be bigger than your other one. So sure enough, I get this offer. And I can't, it's hard for me to remember exactly about it, but it was more money. And they were saying, like, look, the general manager is Alex Jamnoff, and these guys are, they love Canadians, and you got a lot of tough Canadians with you that are going to protect you. And I was like, and it just, the agent was giving me, he's saying everything I needed to hear, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? So I said, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So I just, why not? I always kind of rolled the dice, in a lot of these decisions. I rolled the dice to leave North America, and now I was just kind of going with it. What do you want me to say? And I went there, and it was a lot different than kind of what I expected, but I played really well, and I did well there, and I enjoyed it. And I broke my ankle, the same one that I broke before, and it was massive. And I remember they wanted me to play, and I was like in cold sweats. It was crazy. I broke it. I needed to have surgery on it. I got kind of hit mid ice, and I kind of toe picked a little bit, and I couldn't get out of it, and it cracked it. And so I ended up they flew me to Germany, and I got surgery in Germany. And then from Germany, I flew back to Canada. And then so it's like New Year's in Canada, and so I celebrate New Year's here in Canada, and then I fly back with this cast on, back to Russia. And I stayed in Russia from, the whole time, trying to like get the cast off, rehab. And I don't know. I was there for pretty much the full year. And at that point, because I hadn't played, they kind of stopped paying me. And then I flew back to Canada after I think there was the economic crash at the time. It was like 2008, 2007. And it was hard to get the money out of Russia. So that was one of the reasons why I had to stay longer. It was like, it was super nerve wracking. And I can go into a kind of a long story with that, but anyway, it was kind of long. And then I go back home. It's summertime.
I kind of want to go into that story. Sorry to cut you off. I kind of want to talk about Russia, because Darcy was there, and he told me this guy would come in the room with a number, and he had to fight Yarmir Yager, right? And I'm sure, right? He told me all about that. So
that's funny.
What was it? Were you there for that? You weren't. That was before you were there.
No, I was there. I think I was there. I think Darcy was. I think he was there either one or. I think he was there 1 or 2. He was there before he was the KHL, and he was kind of the elder statesman kind of thing in the sense where he had kind of already been there and he was kind of giving everybody the ropes on what was going on. We had kind of a close, group there. We all stuck together, and I think we really enjoyed. I think we really made the most of it. Like I think we all kind of like just kind of wrote it out. It was crazy. Like stuff that was going on was crazy, but everyone kind of, I think we all, just kind of wrote it out. There was it got negative there a little bit, unfortunately, but I think there was just some personality clashes with a few people. But it was awesome, man. It was crazy. It was like I don't think it was like there was like more of I think I was worried about like violence a little bit and like just kind of the unknown. But other than that, it was similar. It was like it was a cool league. We flew a lot. They took care of us. Everyone was getting paid, and the arenas were sweet. They love hockey there. It was like I enjoyed it. We went to Moscow a lot. We had some awesome dinners. We go out with a lot of guys. I had some friends that were Russian that I made when I played in North America, and they were over there. And man, I loved it. I had a great time.
Okay. So what about getting paid then? Did you ever get your money out of there? Then, because they have economic crisis there. What all?
Yeah, so that's right. Now that I'm remembering, so I flew in and things were booming and everywhere. Every America, Russia was booming. Moscow, I wasn't sure what to expect. There were high rises everywhere. They're all being built, and I was there in the summertime when it was hot, and this like car driver picks me up, and we're bombing back to Vityaz or Chekhov, I should say, and man, it's booming, and there was it was, and then like I think it was kind of quickly in probably before the season was ended, like the ruble, we were getting paid in rubles. Most of us were getting paid in rubles because they're like, yeah, we're like signing
And the exchange rate depends a lot on it, right?
Man, we were depending on it. So that's right too, now that I'm remembering. So the exchange rate went nuts. It went like one ruble would give you or $1 would give you 27 rubles at the time, and then all of a sudden it went to like $1 would give you 45 rubles, and we were like, what? So we were all freaked out. We didn't know what to do. Should we get? And yeah, I had some US cash, and then they switched over, started paying me rubles. I was like, man. So I had and so you imagine I had stacks of rubles. I was like, what am I gonna do with these? And it was, it was on my mind because I didn't even touch any of the money. It was all in my apartment. I just left it in my apartment underneath my my kitchen banquette. And it was, I'm just kind of tell the story here. This is like, it was just on my passport, both of them actually, and my money was underneath the table. And I had a cleaning lady that would come from the arena to clean my apartment. And one day they found the stash. I thought they were going to steal it from me. And they were like, oh, no. Like, because of who owned the team, they wouldn't kind of cross you. And I remember one time we had a game, and I was trying to take a nap, and this guy was hammered in the hallway. And I was getting worked up because I was like, man, I got to sleep. This guy's like screaming, like, he was like, obviously he was drunk. So I come to the door. I've got no shirt on. I'm in like shorts, and I was jacked up at the time. I was angry that I couldn't sleep, and I was like, fuck, this guy's gonna get it. I unlocked the door. I opened the door, and this old guy, and I'm like, man. I was like, I saw this old guy. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, like, can you stop it, man? Go inside or whatever like that. And he kind of gets in my face. So I give him like this one arm push off. I'm like, man, like,
don't get in my face. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get in my face. Like, and he didn't speak any English or whatever. Anyway, I kind of like, I wasn't gonna get in a fight with this old guy or whatever. So I kind of diffused the situation, and he went away. And later on, this was a top level boxer, and he like, I not boxed with him, but he was kind of training me a little bit with boxing when they had a really nice gym in the bottom. And he trained this professional Russian boxer, Alexander Povetkin. And Povetkin went on to fight some big name guys. And he was owned by like they owned him. The guy who owned our team, he treated him like his son, but he was like a prize fighter for him. And so this Povetkin guy was there boxing all the time with this guy. And this old guy, man, he was like he could smash a heavy. He would have smashed me out. I would have had no idea. And yeah, it was just crazy stories like that. And they had a lot of. There was just they were different there. It was but you kind of knew that, and you kind of had to ride it out. There's a lot of late nights drinking with them, and they kind of got crazy. And yeah, it was a good time. I mean, it was a lot of crazy stuff.
Darcy explained it a bit too. Like you'd see what like the actual like mob like does, right? Like you guys would get to go to their parties, right?
Yeah, it was nuts, man. Like I remember, I mean, there was that stuff too, but there's just little things like the office this guy had in the arena was like all decked out, like typical Russian like boardroom with these chairs, and he was always saying like he never really spoke English, and he'd always say like you want chai, like you want to have a tea, and they'd have this wicked spread for teas, you know, these different jams you would put in the tea and stuff, and so you know he'd have that during the day. I get called up like during the practice, go see him, and we have tea and or whatever, whatever. You just talk, and it was crazy. We and then of course he had like this big compound, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. There was a lot to take in, but yeah, it was interesting.
I knew I knew this episode was going to be long when I saw all the stuff you had done, right?
Yeah, man. It's I told you early on.
Like realistically, you're a 3-parter, maybe a 4-parter, but sorry, folks, if you can't get through it, you can't get through it. That's the motto. Yeah. But sorry for burping the mic again. Okay. Next one is I don't really care because I just don't want to forget about this part. Is you're doing all this stuff and you're going to Russia, you're scoring 41 goals. At some point, you play in the Spengler Cup 3 times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
You play for Switzerland, Germany, and Canada. So you played it. I remember watching you. In the Spengler Cup and going, dude, he's like way taller and better looking than he was in Minor Adam. So how was that?
Yeah, Spengler Cup was crazy. It was it's in Davos, of course.
Where it all started in Europe,
eh? Yeah, exactly. It was, man, there's so many there, and I know they're televised. So my parents were glued to it, and I think my dad got a deal on concrete because I played in the Spengler Cup, you know. I think something like that. He was beside himself, and I had a lot of people that had reached out to me over the years about the Spengler Cup, and it was an amazing tournament. And you mentioned I did play for Canada one year, which was awesome. And yeah, it was a great tournament. It's a huge party. You know, Davos is a very small ski resort. It's very quiet in the summer. When I did training camp there, it's dead. There's nobody there. And then it just comes alive. They get the UN. The UN was there at the time, or it still is, but it coincides with the Spengler Cup. And I had heard about it when I got to Davos my first year. Like, oh, the Spengler, that's what they were talking about. They had to win that, and they have to win the championship, that team at that time. And to play in it 3 times was really fun and special. And yeah, those were really big tournaments.
And you won it with Davos, did you not?
Yeah, won it with Davos, and then I played. Then I played for Mannheim in
and you were an all-star, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I scored against Canada there, which was a huge game, and that was obviously a big one playing against Canada. And then later on,
that's what I remember. I remember something about the tournament, and I remember watching you play, and I couldn't remember if you did something like toe pick on a penalty shot or you scored a big goal. I just remember something big happened.
I scored 3 goals against Canada. And,
okay, well, that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah,
I think that must have been what it was.
Yeah, I think, it was.
No, actually, seriously, my research team sucks because I knew something happened, but that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, that was a big one. I had a big tournament, and then that obviously, I was right. I was in Mannheim at the time. I had a big tournament. I think I led the tournament in points, And then had the 3 against Canada. And then that obviously got me some notoriety with the Swiss fans again. It's like, hey, this guy was in Switzerland. He was in Russia. There was kind of an energy there. And then I had
so this is what we're going to do, because we've been going too long, is we're just, you know what, Mannheim?
Yeah.
We had a great Spengler Cup. The rest of the season, we're just going to skip, because now we're going, because that Spengler Cup, and now I get it. You did awesome with Mannheim, and you got that opportunity to play with Mannheim, rip it up, lead the tournament scoring, get a hat trick against Canada, and then that takes you to EHC BN. And is that a French town? Because I see their name is like basically in English and French. Is that right?
That's exactly right. It's in German and French there. It's the first kind of French speaking part of Switzerland. It's kind of, I guess it was a nice city. It wasn't it was a smaller town for me by my standards, but it was kind of a bigger city for Switzerland. And I was like, all right, now it was a big thing to go back to Switzerland, right? Because I had a bad experience there before, and I'm like, man, I know it's a tough league, and see how it goes. And I went there, and I remember having that same kind of philosophy earlier when I said you can't. The results have to speak for themselves. You can't be the best guy in the room and then have a bad performance. It's about, you have to do everything you can to have a big game, because they even, I played for that team for like 6 years or 7 years, whatever it was, and they wanted me like you had to play, and I think they wanted me gone the first week there anyway. They're like, oh, you're too heavy or too whatever it was, and they're like, yeah, maybe go back to Germany. It was crazy. I just got there. It was
after
nuts.
A week.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the funny thing is, I ended up playing for this guy, the coach, who wanted me gone the first week. I ended up playing for him for like 6 or 7 years.
What's his name?
Which was nuts. He's Swiss guy. It's Kevin Schlepfer.
Okay. That's the coach you played for like 6 years.
Yeah. The same guy that wanted me off the team week 1 or week 2 or whatever. Like, I get there. What happens is, I remember now, I get there off a plane, and like the next day they pick me up to do this bike test, and they're like, you got to go up to the Olympic Center to do this lactic acid bike test. And it's my second day there. I didn't even sleep when I got there, and I was moving into my apartment, meeting a bunch of people, like introducing myself. I went for a long walk, and the next day I have to go to this Olympic Center, do this bike test, and like poking my ear to get my blood, and I'm pedaling.
Yeah. I've done
it.
Man,
I'm dying here. Like, I'm just dying. And so it's like minute 14, and they keep increasing the volts on the bike. So after 14, 15 minutes, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And they're like, no, you keep going. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm done. So the coach gets that. He's like, fuck, you're done. You're out of here. Yeah, you're out of shape. And I'm like, I didn't even know this was it's my second day. I just honestly, what do you want from me? And again, I still had that same mindset of, as long as I play well, it'll take care of everything. But the problem was, he didn't really, I wasn't playing that great. And then the first game comes, and I don't really actually, get that much opportunity. Kind of puts me on like the bottom line. And I ended up scoring, thank God. And I ended up kind of sticking around, but it was close.
Kind of sticking around, like
it was close.
Kind of sticking around, but that's the thing is, like, I know one guy, you probably would know the name just because he was been there in the second league a lot of the years, is Jeff Campbell. Like, do you know him? He was in the Swiss B League forever. But anyways, like, once you're in with those fans, and they're India and they like you, so that must have happened for you in Biel Bien.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. Yeah, it was close. I remember there was like an owner's sponsor box in this old stadium. It was like a really, really old stadium, but they had like a lot of energy. It was super loud. Opposing teams didn't like going there. Good ice. And this is probably, I don't know how many games in, but early on in the season, we go to a shootout and end up having I went in the shootout. I scored. Then we went to overtime on the shootout, and where they can pick, you can go as many times as you want. I was like, what is this? So like, oh yeah, go. So then I go and score, and they send a guy and whatever. I don't know if he's scoring up, but they went another round, and one of our guys didn't score, and then they went. I got to go, and I scored. So I had like, I think
2 goals in a row in the shootout.
2 goals in a row to win it, and I think I had probably 1 or 2 goals during the game. So it was a big night for me. And then I end up going up to the like this box where all the big sponsors are and all that, and they loved me, and that I think that was a big turning point. I felt so confident. Everyone wanted to kind of like say something to me, or like it felt awesome. And then if you do flashback with New Jersey, they were like shunning me. I was getting the coach couldn't stand me, and there was no action there. It was just it was like two polar opposites. I just felt incredible. It was amazing feeling to do well and to be I don't know, just to be valued, I guess. Felt amazing.
So you were there then for 6 or 7 seasons. The research team isn't that good, but then you find a home there and you have a coach that likes you. So you know what? I do podcasts with everybody, and I think I can give a player review based on how they podcast. You, it's a harder one than most. On a power play, are you they do all the power plays the same now, right? Where there's the 3 guys across, and there's the guy up top, the guy in front of the net, and whatever. Are you the guy in the middle that's shooting?
I was a lot of times I was a half wall guy.
Were you the half wall guy?
Yeah,
at 6'4", 250?
Yeah, I was more often than not where I got a lot of success was I knew I was having a good season when I was kind of the half wall guy. And
so that's that fat Adam kid, eh? That's the fat kid in Adam that learned the skills before he grew.
I think so. I always tried to, kind of just fake like I'm gonna kind of give it maybe up to the D man, and the forward is gonna anticipate it, and I just got that I can take one more step and get a better
and then
angle,
you snap
bomb it. Yeah,
and then you snap it.
Yeah. That was kind of I love shooting. I don't think I tried not to pass up anytime I could shoot. So yeah, I tried to shoot, and then a few times I played a little bit. I would kind of move up to the 1 point and then curl back down, kind of button hook down, and if I had room, I would skate in and shoot. If not, I'd maybe pass it down to the low guy or something. But yeah, I loved kind of being in that position to shoot.
So you were running. You're a lefty, right?
Yeah, shoot. Shoot.
So you're playing the natural side half wall, or is it like the new school NHL where you're playing the off wing, taking snappers?
Yeah, I've played the half wall, the opposite. I tried to do that, and
I don't mind it, to be honest with you.
If you get I would do it depending on the what shot the D man is, because the key to it, I think, is if the forward, if he takes away that pass, then you got that clear. Then you would have a clear shot to the net. And if the forward would more often not take away that pass if that D man was on a one-timer side,
Yeah, the thing is though, is when you go in on your offside on the half wall that's not natural is what I'm saying. As if you're going in your forehands towards the boards, you still have that behind the back to the guy in the middle.
That's
right? You can still snap it, but you can also throw it back. And I didn't even learn about that until I was 30 years old, right? You don't see it until you see someone else do it, and then you're like, oh yeah, shit.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So where are we at now?
We're kind of in Switzerland at this point, and
so what are the best players you played with? Okay, that's one of my questions. I know we should probably wrap this up because I think we're getting close to 2 hours, and that's long in this, I think. Actually, I don't even know. But what are the best players you played with? Because I played in Switzerland, and man, those players were so much better than I would have guessed.
Yeah, like Swiss players. Trying to think, Roman Yossi was good. Yeah, he's had a good career there. There's been a couple of Swiss guys that I played with. The one kid, the one guy who's in Edmonton, Haas. He was on the team in Beal where I was. I'm trying to remember. There was a couple of guys who had a big career, like who were American, like Kane came to Beal and played there. Sagan.
They played with you?
Yeah. That year I tore my ACL like game 4 or something, game 5, but they were there for the lockout. That was another lockout year. Kane and Sagan, they were there, and
so you would have been the import, but then you got hurt, so then or else you would have all been playing together.
Yeah, exactly. Then the other imports that did play with them, they obviously had big years, and the league was a wicked league that year too. A lot of guys from North America came over, and big buzz because it was the only show in town really.
Well, and like just thinking about this off the hop here is like when you guys are talking, like the hockey world is smaller than you really get. Like you're talking about Martin Brodeur and Joe Thornton, where then I was in Bietigheim and someone knew Joe Thornton from his time in Switzerland, and it's like all of it's all connected, and it's just like some guys get 41 goals for the Nuremberg Ice Tigers, and pretty much everybody else never does that, right? And then it wasn't even just that you had that year. It's that in Beal, you're an import for 7 years in the Swiss A League. I'm talking that's different than signing a one-way contract in the NHL. That is like any guy that is not quite in the NHL, maybe doesn't want to do a two-way. They all want to go to Switzerland, and they wanted you.
Yeah, I got super lucky. Looking back at the career, we talked earlier about having just a great time and great energy, but you're kind of taking it in stride at the time. And it's funny because we don't know how things are going to work out. Look at us now. And my girlfriend sent me a couple weeks ago too about just how things work out. And if somebody would have told you, you're going to do a podcast now, and I'm in real estate, and you never know. You don't know how the season's going to turn out, and there's injuries, or I didn't know how my career was going to end, and who knows? We're just kind of taking day by day. But yeah, it was. I'm so thankful that I got to kind of have a career in hockey, and experience all those things and travel.
Not just a career in hockey, dude. Like your career is literally if I'm ranking my 31 podcasts so far, if I'm ranking the careers of like jealousy factor, I would say you're probably right near the top. Like
that means a lot to hear that.
No, because like I wasn't the type of guy that really wanted that NHL attention and wanted all that. But if I could have been in Switzerland and then I come home for summers and go golfing and nobody knows who I am and I can just go golfing and nobody cares that I make that much money, that's living. I'll never forget the day I went golfing in Elmira with Weidman and then 2 other professional hockey players. All 4 of us were professional hockey players, and we're all making a living playing hockey. The other 2 guys were making obviously substantially more than me in the second league in Germany, but they were making about league minimum in the NHL. Weidman was making around at that time about the same. And everybody at that golf course bugged him the whole day. Like they all thought they were his friend. They all wanted to talk about some game they had seen. And
that's interesting.
The other 3 of us just played golf.
That's interesting to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I can, I know exactly. When I was in Switzerland, I was very reluctant. At the end, I was kind of more reluctant to do anything because there was a lot of attention where I was. It was a small town. I kind of stood out. And there was just a lot of demand. You're just getting a lot of demand. You talked about private sponsors before. I dealt with a lot of sponsors that just, they wanted a lot from you. And then there was just the expectations were growing and growing. And then also you kind of want to live up to that persona too at some point. There was just, you're filled with a lot of different, you grow a lot. And of course, you're in your 20s, your 30s, you're growing, things are becoming more important than others. And again, it kind of harkens back to, and it's, sports in general are so, it's dynamic in the sense where you don't know what's going to happen. I could have had a bad year and that would have been it. This podcast, would have ended hours ago and that would have been it, and who would have known? I had 1 year and I went here and I did this. And
if you wouldn't have grown when you were 15, you were never coming on.
Yeah. I don't blame you. And just before we wrap it up, I wanted to say that I was walking my dog down the street, and my hairdresser's like, he yells at me. He's like picking up, he's like shoveling some dirt into a trailer, and he's just like an empty lot. And my hairdresser's like, I think he's from like North Korea or something. This guy's hilarious. Been going on for probably, I don't know, 15 years or something. And he's like, we're just shooting the shit. And this guy's like, randomly, he says to me, "Hey, do you know Brent Walton?" And I was looking at him, I was like, I'm going on his podcast in a couple of days. Yeah. And he's like, he randomly brought your name up. I couldn't believe how things work out that way. Isn't that crazy? His
Who
name
was it?
I think he's a D man. He said he made sure to tell me to say hi to you. It's like Loundy or something.
Lackner? He was a cop?
Lackner.
Cop?
Is he a cop?
Was he a cop?
I don't know.
What was he doing?
He's building a house.
Oh, wow. I got a bunch of buddies that do that sort of stuff, but
well, I don't know. He's he lives on
in Elmira.
No, in Waterloo here, very close to where I live, in Quan's Park, kind of.
Well, whoever it was, if he listens to it, let me know who it was.
I'll get his name.
Okay, so I got another question then, is how did you decide to end it? How did it come to an end?
Man, it was crazy how it ended. It was crazy. After all this time, what happens? The coach that didn't want me,
after 6 years, he got
after
tired
6 years,
of it?
that same guy, he finally got his wish, which I think was he got me out of there. And guess what team wanted me?
Florida
Davos.
Everblades? Oh, really?
Yes, Florida.
We forgot about that part. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Davos? Yeah,
Davos. They signed me back.
Yeah, well, either way, just so the folks, the listeners at home know, this little punk, this fat little Adam hockey player also played in the East Coast just like me. So just like me, he played in the East Coast. So you know what? He can ride around on his Swiss A. He can ride around on his Swiss A Army knife. That's fine. It's all cool. But you know what? I played in the coast too, and so did you. So it all matches up.
I don't disagree with it. That was another great one. I went down there, Florida, and I think I played 1 or 2 games. I'm not even sure. But what happened was I got down there. John Lunny.
Yeah, I know John Lunny. Where was he?
He was with my hairdresser. Shoveling dirt into a trailer just up the street from me. It was so random. And my hairdresser, he I feel like he just tells everybody too much personal stuff about me or whatever. And he's telling the guy where I live, and I've never met the guy in my life. I was
No, I know Lunny. He played for the Sugar Kings right after me, and he was like a real legend around the town. He's a good guy. Yeah, he sounds like a good dude. Or I know him. He's a good dude. But he became a Sugar King legend after I was gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, again, the Sugar Kings were the team. I mean, I could imagine.
I think he actually became a Senior A legend around here too. Okay. Well, I would say, do you have anything else to say? Because to me personally, I haven't seen you, I think, other than that skate in Conestoga College, and then
Yeah.
the Roller Rats, which was
Yeah.
an interesting
That's right.
summer. Like I haven't seen you, man, but like
Man, when I heard
it's
your
it's
name,
just like we're an atom.
yeah, it was crazy when I heard your name, and like when I hear from childhood friends, you know what I mean, from people that we grew up with, we gotta. It feels awesome because it's such a memory and a feeling. Look, I can't believe how we've grown up and how things have changed. It feels incredible. I think that's why this went so long, is because we know
Too
each other
much
for
to
so long.
cover.
Too much to cover, and the other thing is, it's so relatable. I could listen to your story too, and it would be so many similarities, and it feels great to be able to not have, like, I know I'm explaining the stories, but you get exactly you went through the exact same thing with your family and our upbringings, trying to make it. And we're just a couple of kids from small towns that we
we're
love.
on that minor atom AAA team that
That's it.
like
That's
I
all
was
we
like,
are.
that guy is too short and fat, and you were probably like, that guy is way too little. And like then it just like, and then I get to watch your career and what you did, and then I'm watching on the Spengler Cup, and I'm like, I know that guy. And it's
Yeah,
like it's like there's not that many people in the world that
no.
are watching the Spengler Cup in Canada that
Yeah.
are like, I know that guy.
Yeah, exactly. We went to those same, the Waterloo bubble. I think we played for the
Oh, the
Armadillos
bubble.
once. You
Oh,
know,
the armadillos. Yeah,
yeah.
with Weidman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Weidman is he's my neighbor, so I still see him.
Is
If
that
you,
where you're living?
yeah. We're neighbors.
What, you and Weidman are?
Is that
He was on
crazy?
the podcast. I don't know what episode it was, but yeah.
I'm
So
gonna.
I guess
I
I
wait.
guess that's the honey hole in Waterloo, eh? I guess that's the
That's
nice area of town,
oh
eh?
yeah, oh yeah. It's a nice area where we're at now, and I just waved to him the other day, but yeah, I see
Did he
him.
wave back?
Yeah, of course.
Well, if
Yeah.
he doesn't, let me know and I'll send him a
Well, I'm going to
message,
tell him
okay?
for sure that I was on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll have a couple laughs about it. But he's another guy. He was to see people. It's amazing to see us kind of grown up. And we're
Yeah.
still the same kids at heart.
Hey,
I still
we're
feel
still the armadillos at heart,
yeah,
right?
that's right. You didn't get that tattoo, or
Well, you guys just have bigger houses than me.
you're in King Carden now, right?
Yeah, right by where you come to the cottage, right? In Point
Well,
Clark?
well, I think I've seen your parents on their boat a little bit
Yeah, no,
before. Yeah,
I've heard of sightings of you up here. I
yeah.
have heard of sightings of you and your brother. So tell your brother he needs to come on. And this has
Oh,
been
he'd be
absolutely
beside himself.
incredible,
You'd love
man.
it. Yeah. Oh man, this was so great. I'm so happy I got to hear from you and see you. Like you said, it's been so long. I'm pumped that you're doing well. I just love. I could talk to you for a long time. So I hope we see each other in King Carden. It'll be great.
Oh,
Grab a drink or
dude. No,
something.
I
But
like it. And like, isn't it fun to like recap your career and like get to talk about it? Like, who else wants to listen to us talk about our careers? Nobody does.
and
But at least now I'm giving an outlet for people that actually want to listen to it. Like,
yeah,
it's out there, but like,
yeah,
we need to talk about this stuff. And I think it's
yeah.
good for us because we all do it and then it just ends, right?
That's
And you
it.
don't even talk about it again.
You're onto something there, and I think it's something that you should talk more of in the future, because it was a huge problem for me when things stopped. Your whole life changes, and very few people understand that. And I know everybody goes through different issues in their life. And this is one that I think is it's difficult to explain. And I hear periodically about other hockey players that have struggled to kind of find their identity and find that transition. And I've been really fortunate and really lucky to have a really strong support with my family, and through relationships that I've built. And I think that's really important, because now more than ever, having that the mental health, and just being able to express yourself and talk about it. And I think naturally we are reluctant to do it, because it'll kind of fall on deaf ears a little bit.
I you know, there's so many things I could say to that because we've been going for so long, and I think I am going to say it because, like, realistically, these nights we do the podcast, I haven't talked to you since we were whatever age, and I get so excited to do this. And my, like, not to sound ridiculous, but my mental health is like at its peak. Like I am completely comfortable where I'm at in
Incredible.
life,
Yeah.
like where I'm at with my kids, my job, and I'm doing this stuff for fun. And it's like I'm happy. And there's so many people, especially with COVID, is one thing, which I don't think I'm going to get into that, but like the hockey players that are done, I will get into. It is like it doesn't matter if you're in the second league in Germany. It doesn't matter if you're in the East Coast. It doesn't matter if you're in the AHL. Like as soon as it's like just done and like you're not invited back to the party and you're not
Yeah.
allowed to just keep playing hockey and you get paid for it, and then all of a sudden you're just at home and like, which is kind of confusing for me because I'm pretty sure you could play in Germany until you're like 76 because you have a
Yeah.
German passport.
Yeah.
But like it's so hard, man, to make that decision to stop. And then when everybody's playing and you're seeing guys that have good seasons or bad seasons, you're watching it and you're like, I'm out of it. And then you watch an NHL game and you see the guys like going through Canada and they're so jacked up to play a game and they're so jacked up like for all of it, everything about it. Like that's why I'm doing this. I'm back in the game. I have a reason to talk to hockey guys again, and I'm into it, and it's been great for me, but I know how many people are struggling. And
Yeah.
you do a podcast and now you're at 31 episodes. Like there's a lot of after hour recording talk that you realize how much some people could be struggling, right?
Yeah, 100% right. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving guys a chance to kind of, I very rarely, to be honest with you, bring up hockey just because, it's hard for me to talk about certain things. Only, you can kind of relate where it's the stress is always there, the unknown, and, you got a lot of performance anxiety and just traveling and learning too. So much we've just developed so much. We've really grown up, as you can imagine, obviously. But yeah, you just really grow up, and then you come back home to your hometown and try to re-engage into just normal society again, and just lower your. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
No, and it's weird. It is hard to explain, and there's only certain people that are gonna really understand it because like you have the people with the what's the, I guess it's the opinion of like, well, they made money, so they're happy now, right? Like just because they made money doesn't make you happy. Like I never had my big payday in hockey. I never played in some of the leagues you did, but like just because you made millions of dollars does not mean you are happy day to day.
yeah, I think regardless of the financial part of it, it's something happiness is something you got to work on consistently. It's a priority for people, and I find that things that are your priority in life are something that you always have to put at the forefront. And happiness isn't something that's guaranteed. That's for sure. It comes in a lot of different shapes for a lot of different people, and anybody who's thinks that it just comes to you because of X or because of Y is mistaken. It's something that I think a lot of people are cherishing, especially now. It's such at the forefront. It's a real, it's something that a lot of people I've talked to are real prevalent about. Their happiness, their family, the things that are important to them are surfacing.
Yeah.
And we talked to it kind of ties in with hockey. Is we're looking back and say, geez, man, you had a 40 goal year, or you did this or that. Man, you must, at the time, you don't get the full. You're not seeing the full scope of it. You don't know that. And when I
You're
look
just
back now,
living it. Yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. And when I hear it now from you, and I'm thinking, there were some good things for sure. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was great. We don't know when kids. We're our parents are taking us to the arena. We don't know what it's actually going to be like. And when we see it and live through it, and it's nice to think about it now and apply a lot of the things that we learned in your life today.
Well, this is going to be the last part of the episode because this is going to be how we're going to end it.
Yeah.
That like you're talking about your hairdresser living down the road and seeing different people.
Yeah.
So because nobody knows when this was filmed and I've never left my house, is that my old man
Yeah.
and I had a competition.
Yeah.
We had a couple drinks, but we decided to see who could give each other the best haircut. Because you have a hairdresser. You played in the Swiss A League. I was in the second league in Germany. And check out what this guy did to me. I look like I'm really from Elmira. Like, and it was a competition of who could give each other the best haircut. And let me tell you, I won because it was a competition and I got competitive, but he
Yeah.
went first. And I just don't think he really cared enough about me, right? Like he
Yeah.
really didn't care enough about my haircut. He didn't care enough about my wife because she has to look at me until a hairdresser is allowed to cut my hair now. Like,
Yeah.
like I look like I'm from Elmira, and I'm trying to say that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
He's a terrible hair cutter.
Yeah.
But I don't have a hairdresser because I was in the second league in Germany. But having guys on like you might make this podcast legit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love hearing it, man.
Right?
I got some great compliments today. I'm flying high. That introduction, I'm gonna re-listen to that introduction later. But yeah.
Oh, dude.
Thanks.
Dude, we can do this again. I bet you we talk about these stories again, they'll come out a completely different way the next time.
I believe it. I believe it.
And
Yeah.
this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales. And Papa, you suck at cutting hair. I won.